Hey, it's open up the 7 o'clock and call the meeting to order. Everyone's standing for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So we have a roll call of numbers. Courtney was previously everyone else here. We have a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved. I'm having a hard time hearing.
I'm sorry, I'm talking to this.
Let's use your outdoor voice.
I can try out.
Right.
Does that help? Should I have a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved.
Second by Steve. The agenda has been accepted. Okay, so we didn't get the meeting minutes for the open house now. I don't expect to see those for quite some time yet. Time to consolidate those. However, we do have the meeting minutes that were just distributed from the October 26th meeting. I've glanced through, there's a lot of information here. I didn't find where.
I see a couple little minor edits. One on page 3, I know in parenthetical it says, unless otherwise noted, that Darren will be making the following comments. But I think anytime there's interrupting comments by other committee members, I think for ease of readability and ease of clarity, I think identifying who that committee member is, I think it's important, as this is the official record. And it seems to continue out throughout, but I'm not 100% sure if that parenthetical applies to the entire document or just that page and that section of commentary. So I think just kind of moving forward, I think that would be helpful for readability and clarity. And then the second kind of minor comment on page 4, it's under the comment by Snyder. I think the intended term there was consensus.
Where do you see that, Cliff?
It's about 3/4 of the way down the page. It's the sentence under where Snyder says, points out that the section is about geothermal use. The next sentence, I think it's supposed to say consensus made in section 30-613. Is not required and can be open. So I just want to point that out, if that's in fact what the intent term was.
Consensus of the board, yeah.
That isn't consensus, so, just make a note, I want to make a note.
Oh, good.
It's incorrect spelling.
Oh,
of consensus.
oh, yeah.
Thank you.
There you go. Do I have a motion to accept the meeting minutes?
So moved.
Motion. Let's second. Leave and motion.
Who made the motion? Okay.
Seconded by. Okay, this is open up meeting for any public comment. It's not on the agenda tonight. Robert? Yeah, well, let's talk. Okay, oh, sorry, go ahead, sir. Your name, please.
Kevin Townsend.
Come on up.
Yeah. Sylvan Township resident property owner. Comment about one of the agenda items, the three letters that were submitted on the master plan process. I guess a general, two things, general question, how does that get on the agenda? Is it a resident driven thing? And follow up to that is, will there be, since we're in the middle of this master planning cycle, will there be opportunities for other residents to get things on the agenda? That's first question. The other item, knowing or guessing, I don't know what, I didn't get to see the letter, so I don't know what's going to be discussed, but I guess I'll have to proactively sort of guess. we've been involved in discussions around what's gonna happen with that land on Pierce and Garvey for 3 years now. Prior to that, we were almost never involved in the meetings, so we're slowly becoming experienced, but there's still a lot I don't know about this process. We've learned over the years that a tow yard in the middle of an agriculture and low density residential area is inappropriate. We've learned that high density residential development 30 times higher than anything else in the township is appropriate. This week, the board backed away from all of the marijuana discussions, which could have likely led to future proposals for that land. So we think, based on all the public comment, the facts that were presented by residents, we did not hear any planning or facts from the board, that that's inappropriate. So the question is, what do we do next? Trustee Schultz brought up a great point at the board meeting on Tuesday. We should have an open discussion about that. And I totally agree with that. That's, I think, the one thing that I think everyone would agree on. Let's have a discussion about how do we transition all of this farmland. Part of our master planning history is preserve the rural character and support farming as much as possible, right? We know that transition needs to happen. How do we support that? But when farmers want to get out of farming, how do we transition that land so that the township identity isn't completely changed? Because there's a lot of farming. So I'm a resident, I don't know what I could do, but I'd be happy to help with new discussions on how we transition that land appropriately. It's zoned agriculture, so one thing we know we could do now, and we could have done 3 years ago, is take that land and divide it into 2-acre parcels or larger, find developers, encourage development that would go in that direction. I don't think, if we're just talking about Pierce Road, I don't think anybody would have fought back at everything. I think that would have been supported. We could have been so much farther ahead 3 years ago. We started with that in mind, which seems sort of obvious, but that's water under the bridge. So looking forward to the discussion here in the agenda.
Okay, thank you. We did receive other letters, just for the point, so there's been a change at the township level in regards to the agendas and that, so Carol Kaminsky is no longer with the township. She typically would put the agenda together based upon feedback that we received, then we sent out to us. Going forward, we're probably, from a board perspective, we're gonna take a little more interest in preparation of the agenda and then before it gets actually published and sent out. That's a bit of the history and the background. We do have other letters that we received from other township residents in regards to communications. And we have one that you would possibly your wife had sent to the planning. The Becker radar. We also have that. Right. Is there anything else in public comment? Okay, well, thank you for your comments. So on the, I'm gonna close regular public comment for now. Unfinished business, review the draft solar renewable ordinance, continue discussion. We've not had any updates come in. Look back on the recent, nothing else to add at this point. We'll see what. And now we've got a new business presentation by Marco Silver, Silver Sold in the neighborhoods council.
Mike, you don't think it would be okay if I make some comments about solar?
Oh, about solar? Oh, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I know there's no new ground, but. I wanted to advise you of the development that happened on the legislative level recently, where the House and the Senate in Michigan approved bills that would basically override local authority over large scale solar arrays and wind also, but only very large ones, about 350 acres and larger for solar. And I think it was 35 wind turbines. So I don't know if that really is very applicable to Sylvan Township if we have such large tracts of land. So definitely the ordinance work is still important because it applies to most of our land in Sylvan Township. We still do have control over most.
Oh,
So keep going on.
has she signed that though? Governor Whitmer, do you know?
I think there's a 99.9% chance that she will.
Yeah, no, I read about it, it's in a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think she will.
Yeah, and for 2050 or something, they wanna go totally green or something like
Yeah,
that.
so I think it's a foregone conclusion. As far as the ordinance itself, there's no new draft. I would just reiterate some of the things I said before briefly. That I think we should try to loosen the regulations on the residential. Accessory use, as it's called. And make sure we keep the regulations that are in there, which are pretty good for the principals. One thing I'm concerned about with the accessory use is the way that it's divided up into large and small, which is not really a measurement of size, if you look at the definition. And maybe that should be measured in terms of size, in terms of kilowatts or something, or just drop the distinction altogether. Maybe it doesn't matter, right? And think very carefully, as you did last time, I hope so, about geothermal and biomass and stuff like that, because there is a accessory use component to it. A lot of people have geothermal systems. Make sure that's protected, right? And the same with the others. So I know that came up last.
Yeah, no, I
I
think
think we
the
agree.
geothermal, a lot of people use heat pumps, right, and those types of devices, right?
That is geothermal.
Yeah.
And you can have other home scale systems, so let's say for biomass, like you can have a wood stove
Mhm.
or a wood boiler that also generates electricity for your home. It's not a power plant, commercial. But I think that's a viable alternative that would be protected as well.
Okay, well, thanks.
Stuff
for
like
your-
that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so now we have a presentation by Mark. Silvery Architects. I believe. And I think all of this, did get information in our package. Regarding space development, so we were gonna have a short presentation here.
I think this thing's on. Can you hear me in the back? I'm coming off laryngitis. I don't apologize. There we go.
Just gotta get close to it.
First of all, good evening. I'm Cynthia Silveri. I'm a landscape architect, principal landscape architect and partner with Silveri Architects. And there's my better half over there, Marco Silveri, who is principal architect and partner with me, Silveri Architects. So for the record, you probably should change your meeting minutes so that it says Silveri Architects are making the presentation on behalf of Inlandish Development, which is Patrick Ziski, and you just heard from him and you know him. So just want to make that clear for the minutes that is put in to make it easier for everybody. So Marco's gonna, unfortunately, your new screen's not up yet. The audience can probably see this and you've got your packet, but we've got the 4 documents that you received that Marco's putting up on the screen. I don't know how well the board's gonna be able to see it, but you have your packet. Marco's gonna just run through the 4 sheets just to tell you what's there, and then I'm gonna go over the backtrack to the drawing and I'm going to be able to explain a little bit more. I'm just gonna do a short presentation on what the concept is for the Sylvan neighborhood. It's the open space preservation development concept plan, which we understand is the first step in the process of this new ordinance and developing this project. So we're gonna go to the second page. What we did is, the second page is the concept plan. And as you can see, and you've probably heard from Patrick before, that we've got 10 units here. And the parallel plan is the next plan. So the parallel plan, we undertook that plan in order to determine the number of units on the site, which is 1 housing unit per 2 acres. It's just slightly over, it's almost 22 acres. So we arrived at 10 units for this project. That would be, plan that you see right there would have been if someone came in as a traditional developer and did your 1 house per 2 acres. Traditionally, so that's what that is. And then our final sheet in the packet is the engineers, well, Marco, there's, you can back up to that, I guess I missed that, the engineer's plan. So Patrick has already retained an engineer. This has got topography on it and all of the engineering details, a legal description and that type of information on it that we've included at this time, and then and that we base the drawing on that we're going to talk about in a minute. And the last page is what we are calling our our data sheet, which we broke down each of the 10 parcels that we're going to show you right now on the conceptual development plan. That takes advantage of what you're trying to accomplish, the intent of the open space preservation plan. So that has a lot of detail on it. We're not gonna go get into that detail. I know you can read. We are gonna talk a little bit about the open space percentages and that kind of thing in a minute, but. Mark, we can put it back on the conceptual development plan, and we could actually go ahead and turn the lights back on too. Can the people in the audience, if they want to see it, I don't know if they can see it with the lights on, but. You can turn the lights back on. Please. So anyway, before you is the conceptual development plan, which takes advantage of your open space ordinance to do the primary goals of the open space ordinance plan, and that would be to, preserve your open space and your rural character in the township. And just as a side note, I've lived in Chelsea since 1970, and I actually had friends on Conway Road, so I remember exactly what it looked like in the late 70s and early 80s when I grew up. Would ride my bike and ride my horses in that area, and so this development is going to be in keeping with what's already happening on Conway Road. It has changed since the 80s. But so what we're looking at here is clustering the development towards the west of the project. So the east is the right-hand side, for those of you in the audience. To the east is the beautiful view of downtown Chelsea with the clock tower and the Jiffy Mix. North is up on the plan, of course, and west is Conway Road. And of course, the south adjacent properties. So the development is clustered toward the west. We've retained about 100-foot, not about, it is a 100-foot setback from the right of way line on Conway Road before starting some of the properties that you see, properties 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And those are clustered there, so the development community closer to the road, and then as you continue on the private road, it terminates in the cul-de-sac, and you've got 5 other properties working off of that. With a beautiful contiguous development, leaving the open space around the development, contiguous. So if you actually were in one of the houses, which right now we're showing the houses conceptually as just those white rectangles. And the white rectangles are within a long dashed area in the drawing, and that represents the buildable area. Right now, we're showing on this drawing a 20-foot front setback, 20-foot side setbacks, and I believe it's a 35-foot rear setback. So, so that's the buildable area, and then the dotted areas, while we're talking about what the lines mean on this particular drawing, the dotted areas represent the septic fields. And that would be an active septic field and a reserve septic field. And that's just, those are just to show you the scale and the intent of the property. Each property would be developed within the buildable area, with the exception of the septic field, which I think 10 feet is the requirement for the septic field, a 10-foot setback. But that's just to show you an example of how this could look. Also on this, there are some plus signs. It's number 6 on your list of your key list are the well locations. And if you look at property number 5, the plus that's there, that's the existing well. And of course, property number 5 is the house that Patrick is currently under construction right now. So that well is existing, and the other 2 are shown in the open space. And speaking of the open space and the wells, the open space right now represents 64% of the property, which is quite a bit above the 50%. That number will go down upon approval of this plan, because we know that once the engineer starts to look at it and we start to figure out exactly where those wells are going to go, there needs to be a legal description for those wells. And that will reduce the open space, because that's not allowed to be counted as part of the open space, even though it will look like open space. It isn't counted as a number. Let me see if I hit on all of these. So what we try to do is to meet your ordinance requirements and suggestions, frameworks, so to speak, of preserving the open space, the rural character of Sylvan Township, It has allowed the flexibility to put together this plan as opposed to what I showed you briefly, the parallel plan. The shorter road and the road that doesn't, that ends in the cul-de-sac allows for easier maintenance for the community that will be living there and makes that more efficient and affordable for them. The setback on Conway is going to hit the item that you talked about regarding low visual impact. And it's a much less sprawling form of development than the parallel plan that we showed you at the very beginning. So I just tried to briefly hit on what we've shown there, and I am here to answer any questions, as is Marco and Patrick as well. So please feel free to answer any questions. I'm happy to answer your questions. And with that, thank you for bearing with my voice, and I am ready to turn the floor over to the board. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your presentation and your comments. This is our first time working with this new ordinance, so I think there's going to be some back and forth in regards to expectations, how we work this process going forward. So as I, kind of review the ordinance, I'm looking at I'll let the rest of the committee chip in. We typically see plans to scale with drawings and with houses located in drain fields and places, things marked out, right? So for me, from a parallel plan, you've got some drawings out there and it shows dimension. This doesn't have dimension with it. Doesn't really show setbacks. It doesn't address the drain field areas. I have a couple of points I want to make here. I've been through the health department numerous times on setbacks and expansions, right? And if I look at your one property here, I think it was 0.32 of an acre. My lot, I have a half acre and I have deed restrictions on my house. I had to sign an easement that I would tear my garage down in order for expansion drain field areas. That's a 3-bedroom house. And if I look at the health department restrictions, 1.5 times the size, and I just did a rough estimate. Lots 1 and 2, there's hardly any room there without this thing going forward, without having to get into health department restrictions.
Well, I'm sorry, I just would like to interject a couple things really quick. This drawing that you see before you is to scale. It actually is to scale. Everything is dimensioned. It may not be dimensioned as the way you're used to seeing it, but if you look, the setbacks are called out and they actually are dimensioned on the drawing. I just wanted to.
The scale drawings on if I pulled out a ruler, how would I know how much? What the scale?
The scales on the drawing.
Where?
If the print is at 11 by 7.
Yeah, this permit.
There was 1 inch.
Right, 100 at 11 by 17. I totally appreciate everything you're saying, and you have the right amount of that level of detail. And we typically do that level of detail. Your process for this, the process that you set out, and you're right, this is the first time doing it, is for this to be a concept plan. And then the final plan, as you move forward, you have every opportunity in the final plan process to review to the level of detail. This is how your process is laid out to have a
No, I
concept.
understand this, but I'm and what we're gonna work out here for that. I'd like to see more detail in these conceptual plans as to the setbacks, show the actual measurements, where the houses are gonna be, where the actual drain field is. These are the dots, right?
The drain field dots are to scale. Everything that you see is to scale. So in other words, when you look at a house there.
But if I pull this up and look at it, I get in the packet, right? It's just a drawing, right? It's not well done in my perspective.
Okay, well, okay, I won't take it. I just want to reiterate that it is a drawing to scale at 11 by 17, and it meets the requirements that your ordinance laid out for the first step.
Well, this is, I agree, it's a new
That's it.
ordinance, and we're working through it. but-
Excuse me, there's an example of the consumption of health plan in the ordinance. And there's a small image of one. This one has more, quite a bit more detail.
Yeah, I said, this is the first time going through it, that's my opinion.
Okay.
And, yeah, and
No, that's
part of it is, you know, I don't wanna see us get into development where all of a sudden you've gotta have deed restriction with the health department. right?
This will meet all of the state emissions, maybe the requirements and townships requirements for normal construction.
Right, but I hate to see you go forward with conceptual health. That's gonna lead us into those scenarios. Like, for instance, how big is the house it's gonna be?
The houses are gonna be based on the owners that just, you know, when Florida Patrick works with. The house sizes are going to vary. They're not gonna be, like, say, Westchester Farms, you know what you're getting over there because that's how it all. They have certain plans. This development is not the same. Individuals will determine their house sizes. The intent is that the house sizes are on the smaller side to make them more affordable and to fit the development in the intentional community, the agricultural community that Patrick's trying to create. So those houses right now that are shown are 1,200 square feet. What were that was 30.
Footprint's 1,200 square feet for one story home.
Right. Right, if you made it 2-story.
I'd like to see that stuff, kind of information called out, right? So, you know, you guys have it, right?
Well, it's on the drawing. I mean, there are some notes there. There are notes
Well, where's it say the house?
on the data sheet on the back. On the data sheet. Did you put the size of the houses that we, though, you know what, most houses are conceptual, so we don't outline it on the data sheet. I don't remember what we put on those.
I think what I'm looking for is more.
Well, that's supposed to be the second step, is that this is saying, yes, this
Well, it's the
direction
first
goes.
step. Before I say, hey, you can go ahead and conceptual, I think personally, I'd like to see more.
That's reflected in your notes. So, so for Patrick to hire an engineer to go further into detail, what your ordinance calls for is the approval of a concept so that you can take it to the next level without the client spending money to hire an engineer and then take it back and find out that the board is not even the direction that the board wanted to go.
And as I look at this from a conceptual perspective, what I know about the health department regulation, I couldn't approve it from my own personal perspective.
Just looking at our layout.
No, but they're actually showing the size of the lots, they're showing where the drain fields, they're showing the house. And if I look at this first lot here, I know from my own personal experience, 0.32 of an acre, you really hard to get a 2-bedroom house appropriate.
Could I try to answer your question a different way?
No, I'll continue enough and then I'll let you speak. And I'd like the other board members
I
too.
down at the county today. so I'm interested.
No, but Tom, your thoughts?
Some of these lots, it's gonna be, the houses are gonna be not very long, they're gonna be long and narrow. What it's gonna be, by the time, like, lot number 1, I'm assuming it's 93 feet,
Or 0.32 square area, right?
it's 93 by 127, so you have 93 feet of road frontage on lot 1, is what I'm guessing.
Oh, the data sheet, Mark. Can you take a look at that? Because I somehow I didn't include that in the package that I have in hand.
Yeah, lot 1 is 93 feet, of road frontage, 147 feet.
But you're right, Mr. Harris.
Take 40 off that, so it's only gonna be 50 feet wide, or it's gonna be longer than how it is, so it's gonna be almost one, some of these lots are small enough to where you're gonna build to a lot. What's, you have to work with.
Well, the setbacks are exactly that. It creates the building envelope. So, what we're asking for here is 20-foot front setback, 20-foot sides and 35 rear. The planning commission has the ability to modify the setbacks from the normal agricultural underlying zoning district setbacks in order to accomplish the open space intent, which is to cluster the development, limit the sprawl, and allow for a more close-knit community to be constructed. These are, the way that first 5 lots are is not excessively close together. It's not like you're in town or something. I mean, Michael, I'm remembering, you've got houses that even if you were to build for the setbacks 1 and 2, they would be 40 feet apart.
I'm just making a statement, you're only gonna put a certain size house on lot number 1.
Right, you can only,
Yeah,
so
4 and 2 is gonna be part of the group 2.
So those would be for people who are interested in a smaller house. And Patrick was hoping to provide people with opportunity for different sized lots. So the people who might pick lots 1, 2, 3, and 4 are looking for something smaller. And the people who would choose 6 through 10 would be looking for something bigger. This gives a variety to the development, and it would allow for different size houses. Yes, absolutely. And you're right, Mr. Maris, lots 3 and 4 would be a narrow fronting house that would be longer. And you see that traditionally in a lot of smaller towns and places where you find the homes are narrow to the street and longer to the back. Yes, the idea here is that we are looking at the concept, which is how the road works on the site, how it preserves open space, and right now we're pretty well set with how we think the lots could work on this concept plan as far as the actual houses and their footprints and the actual location of the septic fields. Obviously, 1, 2, 3, and 4, the septic fields would have to be located pretty much where we've shown them. In 6 through 10, there's a little bit more flexibility in terms of house location, house size, and where you put those septic fields. Houses 6 through 10, by the way, I didn't mention, right now we're showing them staggered, and again, we're showing that 1,200 square foot footprint. For just for scale purposes, but they have to take advantage of the solar aspect. So that those houses would take advantage of solar energy.
Question for you, the zoning board, and the single residential district, what's the minimum size? Is there one?
I thought it was 1,000 square foot.
Is there? I don't know.
I think that's in that book. The smallest house we can put in is about
1,000 square feet. And the part you wrote about 40 feet, you're talking about the road easement, is that correct?
Third, Tom, could you speak into the microphone or something? I can barely hear you.
Okay, lot 3 is only 73 feet wide. By the time you take 40, it's gonna be 30 feet wide. Lot number 3, 73 feet.
Where,
Yeah.
when you say take it for young.
You're 20 feet for side yard setback.
Okay.
That's correct.
Yes,
The white rectangles you're looking at are 30 foot by 40 foot. And so you can see lot 3 and 4, that rectangle fits on there with a couple feet left over. So you've got a 32 foot wide buildable area, that's right.
Mhm.
Hmm. Yeah, very small.
If you want to put a garage on it, stuff,
No parking either.
you're back to variance to get a barn and a garage to put on.
Mr. Barris, I wanted to ask you a question on that. You would not be able to, the building envelope for 3 and 4 goes way back.
Exactly, it could be long and narrow.
You could put one in the back and have a drive along the side.
That you'd like to do, yes. But you're still gonna be in that footprint.
Right, you wouldn't need a variance unless you wanted to go outside of the buildable area, yeah.
Then I don't even know how this is set up where the things are put for drains and leaving.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned that because Patrick already has anticipated that and it's not final locations. The engineer in the next step with approval of this idea, this concept, the next step would be to get the engineer and get the exact locations, and what this plan does, like, this is why the concept plan is so important to approve. Because it helps us decide where we need to test for. I mean, we can kind of scatter shot and test everywhere, but that's. The idea here is that this helps us focus in on where we do need to test. But Patrick has already had some ideas of where we do the drives. It's not shown here, where it's worked and where it has failed, so. We have some notion of where some of these places are. But yes, absolutely, that needs to be done.
We got the size of the house.
I see it's too tight. We're pretty low scale. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Three and four is all the height.
What's the blank land shown next to lot number 1?
That's 100-foot setback from, the Conway Road. Right away line to help, provide for what's in your framework where you talked about low visual impact, to kind of take it off the road a little bit and, preserve the rural character of, Conway Road.
What were you, any thoughts from yourself?
I'd like to hear from Peter. I'd like to hear what Patrick has to say.
Patrick, go ahead.
Yeah, just a remark that I was going to make a few minutes ago about the perk test.
You can use the microphone.
Gotta get up in this YouTube video now. All right, yes, Cynthia addressed some of what I was going to say, about the perk test and the drain fields. Yes, it is tight. However, ultimately, the county is going to decide. This concept plan gives us some guidance as to the township's purview, what the township is doing. Both the township and the county have to obviously approve their respective aspects of this thing. At least we know where to get the soil evaluation done, right? If we get this. As Cynthia alluded to, I did have informal test pits dug around the property a few years ago. So we already know pretty much where it's gonna occur. So that gave me the confidence to go this far. I guess since it's been a few minutes, we discussed some other things about the size of the lots, the width of the lots, etc. I'd reiterate what Cynthia said, because that's definitely coming to my heart as well, that we're trying to offer residents a variety of home sizes and lot sizes. It's an affordability issue and it's a lifestyle issue, and it's hard to see anybody questioning individuals' lifestyle and home choices at this level. But we already have quite a few people who are interested in being residents, and so we've got some pretty good feedback about what their choices would be. I don't know if I can add anything more. They know what to do. Thank you. But I'd be happy to ask you more questions directly if it's related to my plans for the community or the farm or whatever.
Would it be possible to shift lot 5 further to what I believe is the east to widen 3 and 4 a little bit? Is that possible with the layout there?
Patrick decided to build his house. Patrick's house is number 5, and it's already built.
It's mostly.
I'm sure,
You can't.
right, he doesn't, yeah. It's built, you can't move it. Although you, no, I'll let Patrick address that, because I suppose we could change.
No, I'm certainly not gonna pick up the house and move it, but what I want to say, and I think I did say last time is. Yes, it is possible to lay out this thing so that we have all wider lots and big front yards and so forth. That is possible. What you're gonna end up with is you're gonna end up with less open space. That's what you're having. And somewhat of a less neighborly community too. You're gonna have people who can't even shout at each other across the road. And I don't know if there's a lot of value in that, but yeah, I think you have the power in order to do that. But I'm not sure if anybody wants to know.
What about combining lots 3 and 4?
Then I look for the 10th lot, I would chop a piece of the open space out and make the 10th lot out of that. That's just what I was talking about.
Well, I just want to answer to say that, you know, I think it's difficult sometimes to, you know, look from a bird's eye view. That's not how we walk around the world, you know what I mean? So it's like you're looking at this little drawing and you're looking at it on a map and it seems like it might be, you know, it's little compared to the rest of the drawing. And the reality is, I mean, people come to Chelsea, and I know we're not talking Chelsea, we're talking downtown Chelsea now, but I'm saying people come to towns like Chelsea because it's so quaint, it's so cool. The houses are close together, they're big, they have little buildings in the back. You can meet your neighbor across the street. I think that's the rural situation is a little bit different. Some people want to be in the country because they want to be away from their neighbors or they don't want to know their neighbors. This is trying to create a sense of community around people who have a lifestyle choice that they want to be in a rural area, but they want to also have a community that they belong to. And so, you know, part of this project, properties 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 clustered together are a certain part of this development that's going to feel really nice. The houses are really not that close together, and they're fairly small. I think you're not even going to notice from the road, or the neighbors are not going to notice that these, you know, you're not building some gargantuan thing right on top of each other. I mean, in fact, if you think about lake house development, people are right next to each other because they want to be right there by the lake.
They don't have a choice. That's not necessarily.
Well, they do, because if they don't like it, they can live somewhere else and not live at the lake. I mean, or they can find a lake that doesn't have as many houses on it. I don't know. I'm just trying to lighten the mood here, but some people want to live next door to each other and have a really feel whether or not there's a lake. So I think that these houses are not right on top of each other. They're not doing that big. And I think this is a really great plan, I have to admit. I've been working with the entrepreneur on this plan for about 3 years. And oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe the stack of tracing paper designs that we have come up with. And honestly, after 3 years of working on this really is the best plan that meets your ordinance. And I'm saying that you haven't seen all those other drawings.
We've heard about it.
Well, all I can say is that Marco and Patrick and I sat down and we finally tried to hammer this out. We're like, okay, we're getting close. And we had one last meeting and Patrick said, why don't we do this one thing? I don't need to go into the details, but we were like, yes, we're gonna make those changes and we're gonna submit this drawing and this is what came out of it. And I just feel like it's gonna be a really cool development. And it is in no way a detriment to Sylvan Township.
Okay.
Thank you for your time, and Mr. Van Buren, I apologize for interrupting when you were talking. I just-
No, that's all right.
Wanted to help
We're
you.
free flowing here. I mean, it's the first time for this. So
Thank
You
you
know,
for your time.
the one thing on these drawings, it'd be nice to have things marked, right? So what this actually is, what this is. Well, it's not a bit of a guessing. Cliff, any thoughts on you? Leah?
There's 4 too small. And will the county accept
Pretty much.
the wells?
I think Patrick, you said you were talking to the county.
Oh, yes, I wanted to.
Shared well, shared wells.
Yes, I was actually at a county meeting for a different purpose, but afterwards I chatted with the people about the shared wells and the drain field, et cetera, because I'm well aware that not only township approval is necessary, but county approval is necessary too, and these things run in tandem. It's kind of a chicken and the egg thing sometimes, and we're trying to get a little bit of the egg here so we can hatch a little bit of a chicken. So I'm well aware, the reason why I was at the county is I'm well aware this stuff has to start now. Process has to start now. So if you were to approve this and the county says, no, you can't put drain fields there. If you null and void and you back to the drawing, just the way it is. You're not overriding the county.
No, I'm not trying to say, I'm just, I looked at the first one here and when I did the measurements, if you had 2 cars. You did the measurements for the range field, assuming just the minimum setback, right? I came down to roughly an 800 square foot house.
Well,
Just
that-
ballpark.
Those houses
That's not
there,
having the actual. And that's for a lot. I've struggled with the side. But we got a lot of people in the townships, and you know, they like the 2 acre homes, and I understand trying to convert cities. I think this is too tight.
the open space ordinance does not modify the minimum square footage of a house in any way. It is 1,000 square feet as you mentioned. So if I were to try to put an 800 square foot house there,
No, I
Not
not
be-
be
not be approved.
the cars.
and those little drawings that we put for the houses are clearly within the minimum square footage of this township, so. I just wanted to note that again, I know it's already been said.
Yeah, no. Sandy, your thoughts?
Hi, so if I understand what we're doing, we're looking at a concept plan. If we approve the concept plan, then they go off and then come back with something that has all the details that you look.
Yeah, but I don't want to sell off that concept that comes back and it's nothing clear as to what they'd like.
You mean, I know what it looks like on the ones that we got from the developers who did the condos and all that. It's very, very detailed.
Correct.
So my thought is the next time it comes back, it's going to look more like that. Because they have to go to the Allen Department, they have to go to all these other places.
It was gonna change to 70-foot wide lot.
Right, so like 3 and 4, like those 2 lots are, for me, that's just too tight. So I personally couldn't approve that conceptually.
Yeah, but you're not gonna be living there.
No, but it's still a resident township, right?
We're all residents.
I mean, as long as he meets whatever the ordinance says, then.
It's part of the quality of the housing stock of the township too.
Pardon me?
It's part of the quality of the housing stock of the township too. Steve, your thoughts? I don't know, anything else, Sandy, you want to add to that?
I don't think it's a bad plan. It seems to meet what we came up with. Open space ordinance. I don't like 3 and 4 being so narrow. I can see that being a problem, but with the existing building there, why they can't shift the neighbors.
That was great. One move's done. It's not our.
It's not our problem.
That's true.
About what this, who did it the first time, we might reassure everybody what this entails.
Oh, what page?
On the copy I have is page 9, it's approval process.
Yeah, I've got it right in front.
I mean, the important part is that conceptual development plan approval shall not constitute an approval of a detailed final development. You're not binding to something.
No, I understand it, but we're talking about the layout in general. I think these time I probably do that 3 and 4, that's really tight. All right. So.
I actually, if I could say something about 3 and 4.
Pardon?
If I could say something about 3 and 4, this is related to what Cynthia was saying about all of a sudden it's something fell into place.
On that day, when we were meeting, and we made that last minute change. Which actually is not related to 3 and 4 directly, but, I was so happy with it. That I went and pulled somebody else aside, a prospective resident who was nearby. And said, look at this great plan. And that person immediately pointed to lots 3 and 4. And said, oh. Those look really nice. Do you think because they're smaller, they would be offered for a lower cost for the lot? Yes, I think so. But it's notable. That and this, and speaking of quality, she's a very quality oriented person. But there is definitely demand for a small house like this in a community. That was the first thing that immediately happened when I saw this site. And does it hurt anybody else in the township if somebody lives on that lot? I don't know. I don't think so.
Well. I'd like to see 3 and 4 combined.
Really want to thank you for leaving the plan the way it is. And that is because if 3 and 4 were too tight, you couldn't build a house there. The reality is, even though those are narrow, you can put a legitimate size house there that meets the township's requirements. So for this planning commission to try to modify the design because you don't like how small those lots are is not really in keeping with the ordinance in the sense that we made it so it is workable. We're not going to show you a building, a buildable area that's too small that could only take an 800 square foot house, I guess is what I'm trying to say. We have provided you with, and the client, I mean, we're trying to provide our client with a variety of building sites for that very reason that Patrick just mentioned. And it does work. You might not want to live there, but obviously other people do, and it does meet the intent of your ordinance. Because really, we did look at if we combine those areas, it really does push everything out into the open space, and it kind of starts to fall apart in terms of what you're trying to accomplish here with your open space preservation ordinance. So recognizing that this is the first time that you're going through this, we would like to say, let's hold hands together and let's go forward with this process, approve this plan. Let us continue to do the work that we need to do with our client and then bring something back to you with a little bit more meat on it, Mike, that Mr. Mike Van Buren that you would prefer to see. Because as Patrick said, approving this does in no way, shape, or form mean that this is exactly what's going to get approved. So I would just urge this commission right now for someone to make a motion to allow us to move forward with this plan and show you that we can really develop something really nice here that the township can be proud of.
Well, we gotta have at least 1,000 square foot house. Plus, what is? I don't understand exactly how the lot ratio building to lot size. Lot coverage is. On their property and stuff like that. Lot ratio. Small lot because
If we saw a more detailed design for say 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 4, then if you better chance to look at it more deeply.
I'd like to know the lot coverage if there's a I would think to look, but
The lot coverage during the creation, right?
Yep. Is what I was thinking, like on a lake property.
You use like 30%, right?
Yes. You're not.
He wants something, yeah, get variance right out the gate, right?
You might be able to, make your motion such that you make it contingent on looking at more detailed plan for sites 3 and 4. Maybe more so than any of the other parts, because again, we don't have. It's not gonna be like Westchester where these are set footprints, so
No, I understand that.
I'm suggesting making a motion that's contingent on us showing you 3 and 4 in more detail so that you can feel comfortable with those sites.
How about we table it to come back with more information about this space?
You know, I'd like to make a motion that we, accept their concept plan and have them come back with the detail that you all want.
So you make the motion,
I'm making that motion, yes.
so Sandy's making the motion to accept the plan as is. Is that
Yes.
Fair statement.
I'll second that.
The second. We'll do a roll call vote.
No.
Or
Yes.
chair votes no.
Yes.
It votes no. Yeah. Motion doesn't pass. But I got it correct.
So then what's the next step?
So what I'd like to do is for lots 1, 2, 3, 4, can you come back with more detail about the layouts and talk about the coverage ratios?
I think that we would feel a lot better about doing that if this board approved concept plan contingent upon us coming back with more detailed plans for that area. Because look at, it's just extremely difficult to move forward on this without moving forward on all of it. So
So
I would love it if you made a
It's
different
not-
motion and
if you were to come back, and show us quickly what 3 and 4 number.
3 and
Show a
4.
little bit more detail on ours would be so we can get better vision.
Oh, yeah, we can do that. We can do
I'm okay.
that. Okay.
But I'd like to ask if you could define precisely what you really looking for. So we
So I'm looking for where the drain field would go, where the house would go, the side setbacks, the front setbacks. Okay. And then I would propose where the tanks would be, and then where parking would be for those 2 lots.
tanks, drain field, parking. Okay, we have.
Yeah, the 10 feet, the follow the health part.
You're gonna be put in a pretty simple, you put it in the easement or whatever. There's a room, because you're gonna go to a 1,000 square foot house. You're gonna have 1 bathroom or 2 bathrooms, 2 bedrooms or something like that, 3 bedrooms. 28 by 44, 2 spots like that, 2 1,000 gallon tanks, or 3 bedrooms.
Like, see that, what it's gonna look like, right? Layout.
Seems like we're almost there.
We're close.
Any sort of potentially foresee, right? Once that would require a permit.
There may be no other option.
That's fine, then
That's gonna be put in a deed or something then, so that people know for sure that they can't put a garage there, or we're just gonna let it. I think
The garage, yes, but if you're talking about pole barns and stuff like that, probably no. But you don't have to put it in the deed, because if they put in for a zoning compliance permit, if something's not allowed, you just get rejected. We don't have to tell them anything, because it's nothing to deal with you guys.
Very good.
So we can table it till the next meeting, when I come back to us. That layout. And we go from there. Does that sound reasonable?
Three and four is the only questions.
I'm fine with that.
Okay. All right, so we'll table this until the summer 21st meeting after. You gotta do,
Well, is it better next to the table that you?
yeah, I'm gonna make a motion to table it until the summer 21st. And we'll get more information.
Are you actually gonna meet in December?
I think so, yeah.
They say next meeting is December 21st.
Well, that's why I asked.
That's what it says.
I'll make a motion to table it. Do I actually need to make the motion? Yeah, you can make that. So I'll make the motion to table this to November 21st meeting with the intention of saying more details around last 3 and 4 and what they're wrong with.
Or
Seconded by Cindy. Roll call. Yes, Steve.
Yeah.
Good, Mike, yes.
Yes.
Danny is, okay, so we'll have to pass, so that we'll look forward to coming back in December, okay? All right, sorry about that, one note, since we got some of the, township ordinance, here, one thing we picked up in the zoning ordinance, as I looked through it, there was no fee schedule in here. So I think there probably needs to be something addressed down the road. It's just, it's a lot of time to. All right. Patrick, I don't know, you maybe recall talking about the health department ahead of time. That shouldn't be an issue.
Oh, yeah, that's the process, that's already today.
Yeah, their regulations, I downloaded them last thing, they haven't changed since 2000.
Well, then you have a license.
Yeah, I mean, they got 3 different types of drainage.
You're well on Patrick's. And the wells and stuff.
You look at scale on there, you'll figure it out. Yeah.
That's giving you that look. That's only the.
Which the drawing is, if it goes forward, though, it's just more details about it, right?
I understand the theory of between they don't spend money if they're not going in the right direction.
What ordinance theory is, what the ordinance says, or what is required for a company, the detailed out. That's what it is.
Yeah, but if I look at it and really want to start splitting hairs, Patrick, I mean, it's, shall meet the requirements for a plat based upon PA 280 of 1967. And so we're trying to be reasonable at the same time. Having enough reasonable.
You know, that's a really interesting discussion. I don't know if we have time for it right now, but there was.
I'm not sure I want to leave that act.
No, but if you're actually interested in delving into what that item means on here, I'd be happy to say something quickly about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Or maybe next time.
All right, now the next one, item on the agenda, you've got communication with master plan input. So we've received 3 letters from Fairfield property owners, the Palmac and the Hamptons. We've also received another stack of letters from other township residents. We just kind of read off some of the other people that we received them from. I guess the letters from the councils that were actually sent to the master planning consultants, Raider and Bader. We've also got feedback from Ashley Seaman and her family. We've also got feedback from Chris and Kate Zorenko, hopefully I'm pronouncing their names correctly. Barb Allen. We've also got feedback from William Basso. And we got Jim Cade. We also have other written feedback from Susan Gilby. And I'm sorry, that was actually Ed Blissing. It also said that communication, right? We just had an open house, not too recent, quickly passed. Has everyone, I think everyone's had a chance to read most of the letters at some point in time. Is there anyone here that would like to make comments regarding those letters? We can move it up, put in the callbacks for half week. Okay. So we got those letters. So moving on to the agenda, comments concerning the planning commission members. What's the name? Steve. Okay, I understand from Rod, we have a new planning consultant. Funded, I believe.
Yep.
zoning and Scott Pacheco, who we have worked with in the past. We'll work forward to. working with him. Okay, so we have next meeting is on December 21st, which we know we have at least one agenda item, so. we'll do that. So if that's all, we have a motion to adjourn. So moved. Supported by motion by first, supported by